All right, here we are. Another installment of Golden Moments in A Course in Miracles. This one is Heaven is Here, Heaven is Now. It's a passage from the Manual for Teachers, and this really encapsulates the whole course. This just simple phrase, heaven is here, heaven is now. And the longer version of it is, heaven is here, there is nowhere else. Heaven is now, there is no other time. Let's read the passage, and then we'll talk a little bit about it, and maybe do a song and a dance. We'll see. Heaven is here, heaven is now. The emphasis of this course always remains the same. It is at this moment that complete salvation is offered you, and it is at this moment that you can accept it. This is still your one responsibility. Atonement might be equated with total escape from the past and total lack of interest in the future. Heaven is here, there is nowhere else. Heaven is now, there is no other time. No teaching that does not lead to this is of concern to God's teachers. All beliefs will point to this if properly interpreted. In this sense, it can be said that their truth lies in their usefulness. All beliefs that lead to progress should be honored. This is the sole criterion this course requires. No more than this is necessary. So what is Jesus saying here? We're going to read it again in a moment, but let's just try to put it in a nutshell. Again, it's a restatement of the atonement principle, right? Jesus keeps restating the atonement principle in many, many different ways, in many different forms throughout the course. And this is just another way of doing it. And I just wanted to highlight this one sentence. It's really a few sentences. Heaven is here, there is nowhere else. Heaven is now, there is no other time. Which means God has not changed, right? That's the atonement principle. God is still God. Love is still love. It has never changed. And it can never change. And anything that seems to be in opposition to God or to love is not ultimately real. It may seem to be real. It may seem to be very oppositional, right? It may seem to be very much antithetical to God, and maybe you're thinking, oh my God, how's God going to get out of this one? It's like Batman and Robin. If you ever saw, basically every Batman and Robin episode, like the Joker does a number on Batman and Robin, and they look like they're going to die, right? And you probably don't remember. This is way back, but unless you watch Batman and Robin, but they're on the chopping block. They're about to be killed by the whatever it is, and they're tied up, gagged and tied, and then the show ends, and it's like, to be continued, right? And you're like, what's going to happen? Of course, the same thing always happens. They get out somehow, right? Why was I even bringing that up? Because we think that the ego. We think that there are forces in the universe that can somehow disempower God or can take away the love of God somehow, and that's impossible. Right, because not only can they not do that, but they don't even exist in reality. Right, that's all the dream of the sun. Right, the sun dreamed this dream in which there is suffering, in which there is oppositional forces, in which there is duality and seeming opposites. So if there's good, there's got to be a bad, right? If there's a hero, there's got to be a villain. If there's a God, there's got to be anti-God. If there's a Christ, there has to be an antichrist. And Jesus keeps telling us over and over again the atonement principle, right? it's the whole course is basically a restatement again and again and again and again and again of this atonement principle, which is that God is still God, right? Love is still love. God is love, and God is only love. And God can only create love, and we are a creation of God. Therefore, we are also love. And as love, we also have never changed. Our true self, our true nature, our true identity has never changed. So the emphasis of this course always remains the same. It is at this moment that complete salvation is offered you, and it is at this moment that you can accept it. This is still your one responsibility, and this is Jesus referring back to very early in the course where he said the sole responsibility of the miracle worker, which is you, right, which is me, the sole responsibility of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement for him or herself, or for themselves, right? Which means that you accept the atonement principle for yourself, which is God is the only reality. The love of God is the only reality. Nothing else really exists. Separation is unreal, totally unreal, and there's no compromise in that, right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. That is the one responsibility. Now, Jesus says that's the one responsibility, but he doesn't expect that you're going to necessarily accept that right off the bat, right? It might, not to get back to Batman or anything, but to, it doesn't think you're going to accept that right away. It's probably going to be a process of letting go of your fear, right? Atonement might be equated with total escape from the past and total lack of interest in the future, right? Only acceptance of the present, right? What is present? The loving presence that can only be found in the present. Heaven is here. There is nowhere else. Heaven is now. There is no other time, right? Heaven is not somewhere else. Heaven is not when you die, right? Heaven is not some place way up wherever, Sometimes we look up to the heavens, right? And in many traditions, the sky is another word for sky is heaven, right? Like in the original Hebrew, the word shemayim means both sky, but it also means heaven. And we think, it's some far off place. Heaven is somewhere when you die. You go somewhere, right? But Jesus is saying, no, it's right here, right now, in this very moment, right? And it's only waiting for you to accept it. The invitation is always there. Love waits for you to accept it. And in accepting love, you experience heaven on earth. And that might not even be the best way of describing it, what it is, but just saying you live in the presence, the gift of presence. Why does Jesus use the word heaven? I mean, it's a good word. It works. I don't know if other words would work as well. But, heaven is really synonymous with God, with love, with true ultimate reality, with the ground of being, with source, with self. These are all synonymous words, basically, for the course. They all basically mean the same thing. So it's just a way of saying, you could say heaven is here, you could say God is here, God is now. Love is here, love is now. No teaching that does not lead to this is of concern to God's teachers. Remember, this is in the Manual for Teachers. So right? This atonement principle is the only principle, right? All beliefs will point to this if properly interpreted. In this sense, it can be said that their truth lies in their usefulness. So all beliefs that are valid beliefs will point to this simple fact, which reminds me of something that happened recently on Facebook, where I got into a conversation with someone who was saying that Jesus is the only way, right? Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. This is in John, Gospel of John. There's no way to God except through Jesus. And I was saying, maybe it's more correct to say Jesus is the Logos, and the Logos, which is, you could say, the representative of God in the physical plane of existence, is the way, right? Because that Logos is the guidepost or the lighthouse that leads you back. So so I was saying, maybe it's not as helpful to say Jesus is the only way as to say the Logos, and then there doesn't have to be only one Logos, right? The Logos can take different forms. There can be logoi, right? In other words, what brings you back to God, but this idea of forgiveness, but forgiveness in the sense, forgiveness as the understanding that if God is love, there is no need for forgiveness, which means that God as love has never changed, because if God had changed, then there would be a need for forgiveness, because there would be something wrong, right? Where there would need to be something that God would have to do in order to set things right again. But in a sense, because there is no time in reality and there is no space, there is no causation, then there was never any problem in reality. Right? And everything is going to point to that. Everything that is true will point to that simple truth. And yeah, Jesus is one pointer, but is Jesus the only pointer? No, because that would put a limit, to say that there's only one way. Right? It's maybe more correct to say, yeah, there is one way, and it takes a multitude of forms, right? Because of the kindness and gentleness of existence means that, there's many opportunities, there's many ways to get there. All roads lead home. If one is sincere, if one wants to go home, one will get home. Whether it's through Jesus or some other way, one will get there, right? All beliefs that lead to progress should be honored. Right? So this is Jesus saying basically what I was just saying. All belief systems that lead to progress should be honored. This is the sole criterion this course requires. No more than this is necessary. We'd have to look at the whole passage there to really fully understand, right, the context of what was being said. But maybe we can end with a little song. I don't know. I think that, if you had to sum up the whole course, only love is real, right? That's what I would say. Only love is real. And deep down we all know what love is. So that says it all. But the heaven is here, heaven is now is also good. Only love, only love, only love, only love, only love, only love is real, only love. Only love. Heaven is here. Heaven is now. Heaven is here. Heaven is now. Heaven is here. Heaven is now. Only love. All right now. It's all right now. Only love.